the Emancipation Proclamation Committee, to the pastor, clergymen, friends, and all under the sound of my voice, Happy New Year, and thank you for having me. The theme is social justice. Oftentimes, when we say social justice, we complain about the man holding us back. But today I will take a slightly different vantage point. One of the things that I modified with my speech as I sat here was I thought about too often times our children believe that we started off as slaves. Yes. That we started off in bondage, that we did not emanate or that we were not created in God's image. And that we did not reside over some of the most powerful and intellectual civilizations that the world has ever known.
Yes.
We talk about Kemet.
Yes.
Now the Europeans called it Egypt. But it was Kemet because that's what the folks who were from there called it.
That's right.
Kemet. I need not go through all of the advancements that the commissions developed. But one of the things that I will just touch on, since we're in the church.
Yes, sir.
And since some of us believe that we were actually a heathenist, godless people before we were shackled, I'll just touch on this one pharaoh who went by the name of Akhenaten. Akhenaten was the first known and recorded ruler or leader of people who acknowledged that there was only one true God. And that he was responsible for the sun, the moon, and the stars. And I'll fast forward to a place called Aksum, which was an Aksumite empire, ancient Ethiopia. Watch TV now, we've been led to believe that Ethiopia is somehow a place full of wretchedness, poverty, despair, and so on. But prior to the Mussolini-led Italian invasion and the colonial handprint of Europe, ancient Ethiopia has the very, has the claim of being the first known nation in Africa and predates Christianity in Europe. That's why empire was declared a Christian nation 50 years before Emperor Constantine brought Christianity to Europe. These are things that we must tell our children. All right. And I'll go a little bit further with ancient Ethiopia. The emperor at that time is known as the first person to have his face or his profile placed on money.
That's right.
Wow. Yeah, you thought it was Abraham Lincoln, didn't you? Then let's look at West Africa. Let's talk about East Africa. Let's look at West Africa. You had the ancient empire of Mali. And there was a man who presided over Mali who was considered a very, very pious and righteous man, who just also happened to be the wealthiest man to ever live. Wow. His name was Mansa Musa. Mansa Musa would make Bill Gates a charity case. He presided over a nation that expanded the territory that would be larger than this country. And he led the world at that time in arts, literature, and scientific advancement. There was even cataract surgery that was performed in his nation in that time. Hundreds of years before we were docked on the shores of America. Mansa Musa also, this will be the last thing I say about him. He was so wealthy that when he took his caravan of folks and camels and gifts to Cairo, Egypt, he gave out so much gold that he destabilized and brought down the value of gold, because no one in the ancient world knew it was that much gold out there. So it's important that we know that we didn't start in American slavery.
Thank you.
All right. Amen. Now let's get to the institution of American slavery. It was evil.
Yes, it was.
Notwithstanding revisionist attempts to change the narrative and current attempts by some to say you are better off here than in Africa, slavery and the reasons for it were evil and emanated from a place of savagery and selfish, unbridled selfishness. I won't delve into the many horrors of slavery out of respect for our ancestors and women and children in attendance. I will, however, delve into some of the rationalization for that very, very evil, wicked institution. There was often a paternalistic tone to slavery. The men who called themselves masters were selfish paternalists who convinced themselves and tried to convince anyone who would listen that they had a moral obligation to feed, clothe, teach, beat, whip, torture, rape, and assault black men, women, and children. Because they were, in their words, ordained by God to train up the enslaved heathen as Africans, who by their very nature were animalistic and ignorant and in need of direction. This was a rationalization that was used as justification for the evil institution of American slavery. Newspapers all over the South touted the relationship between the landowners and enslaved persons as parental in order to promote this narrative. With all of the terrible things that went on during American slavery. Prior to the Emancipation Proclamation, the ancestors sacrificed so that we could be here today. 156 years ago today, Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, which declared that all persons held as slaves within the rebellious states are and henceforth shall be free. Notwithstanding the efficacy of the order that purportedly freed slaves in the South, over which Lincoln had no physical control, many abolitionists urged its issue as a significant step in ending slavery. Frederick Douglass, speaking on the proclamation, said, "We shout for joy that we live to record this righteous decree." And it's not great because it made a real difference at the time it was declared. It is great because it dared to proclaim something so radical, so antithetical to the Anglo-Saxon mindset, that all men, yes, even black men, are born with the right to be free. The proclamation implicitly applied the Declaration of Independence to all people, not just wealthy landowners, white people. With the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, which was passed after the Civil War, the proclamation's intent became the law. And a form of slavery ended. However, the 13th Amendment does not end all forms of slavery.
That's right.
While people may not own other people, slavery is legal when it is used as punishment for crime where a person has been duly convicted.
Right.
Come on.
Peonage. Has anyone ever heard of peonage? Peonage was a system that allowed slavery after the Civil War. It played a role not long after the North pulled troops out of the South. Peonage is a system where people were indebted to landowners and business owners and treated as slaves because of that debt. Whether the debt was real or someone's imagination.
All right.
How many of us, how many of you heard stories, parents, grandparents, great aunts and uncles, where they never seemed to get out of the debt of a white landowner or merchant, and they had to, quote, work the debt off for many, many months, many, many years. The main form was sharecropping. The most abusive and corrupt form of peonage occurred in the South on the local level, municipal and county government. While peonage was outlawed by the federal government, 4 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, the southern states ignored it and created the black codes, pig and vagrancy laws, and they got around the federal government. Black codes, the pig and vagrancy laws practically made it illegal to be poor and black. For instance, if you were found on the street and law enforcement approached you and asked you, boy, who do you work for? And if you could not prove that you had a job, you could be arrested and put in jail. Black men were picked up for misdemeanors, made up crimes, given fines, court fees. They enforced to work for local businessmen who would pay their fines forward. Sometimes the sheriffs, and I know it's actually reported in Coosa, Tallapoosa County and Shelby County. Sheriffs would contract with the local white businessmen, and they would lease these convicts out to them for fees.
All right.
The local businessmen would save money because they wouldn't have to hire a white man to pay him a fair wage. And he could do whatever he wanted to that least black convict worker who had no enforceable rights.
That's right.
The paperwork and the debt record of the prisoners were often lost. Men found themselves trapped in peonage, which was simply just slavery by another name.
That's it.
Peonage, while outlawed by Congress in 1867, persisted well into first half of the 20th century. And in some places, and I know of a specific case in Mississippi, went on until the 1960s.
Wow.
So we still had slavery in the 1960s.
Thank you. Still have.
Freedom, it was not a choice in that time.
All right.
That was then, this is now.
All right.
Freedom fast is now a choice.
All right.
Although today rulers exist in different forms and to different degrees, the struggle still remains the same. The antebellum masters are gone. But in their place,
All right.
stand a new breed. The new breed of masters, some are just carrying on the torch. But it is now more of an oligarchy of small groups who want to tilt the rules and laws in their favor. There will be any people who cheat, go outside the rules, recreate the rules, rewrite them, do anything they can to stay up, to get to the top, stay on top, and cut out others who are more deserving.
That's right.
Slavery had paternal overturn. The question we must ask is, why do we today accept that same paternal relation? Why is there acceptance in our time over 150 years after the Emancipation Proclamation? We have so many with an affectionate attachment to current masters.
Come on.
Is it because of the love of the plastic car? Is it because of the love of being able to purchase a 70-inch flat screen television? Is it for love of possessing things that our ancestors could not have dreamed of owning? Freedom is a choice. Why do grown men who pledge to honor, protect, and take care of women and children go to work for people who require that they leave their self-respect and their manhood at the door for a paycheck? I don't mean to offend anyone here, but if you're offended, maybe this message is for you.
That's right. That's right.
If you have the power to control your destiny, do not. And instead, engage in self-emasculation in order to keep a high-paying job. Don't be surprised when that man who is your boss or your master, your employee, when he asks you to do something that you find humiliating or undignified, how do you explain this to your children? How do you explain this to your brain? Nelson Mandela said, money won't create success. The freedom to make it will. Yes, I've been on retreats with many black professionals who work at large firms and corporations. And we on a retreat, and then you folks take a few drinks. And all of a sudden, they'll start to complain and lament about how, they have to hold their tongue and deny who they are while at work in order to maintain something they feel is always on the verge of slipping away.
Right.
I know some professionals who work at a large firm. They make a lot of money. I know two in particular. I think they average about $350,000 a year at the firm they work at. They'll sit around after they have a drink or two. And I've heard them say this repeatedly. I wonder when they talk about their boss, a master. Well, the first couple of names on the firm. I wonder when they don't realize they made a mistake and I'm not supposed to be there. Folks, we have a problem when educated people with multiple degrees are questioning whether they're good enough to be working in a professional setting. We've had a black president. Now, I believe we've made, by having a black president, it has appreciably helped folks because they can see what's possible.
Right.
But what about folks who already had their mind set? Has it really made a difference? Do we see ourselves in a better light?
All right.
Do you see yourself in a better light? Do you believe a black accountant or a black doctor can do a job just as well as any other man? Do you believe a black attorney can adequately represent you? I don't know a single black attorney who has his own law firm or who has a partnership of other black lawyers who gets the best of the best cases. Without fail, the minute a family member of a lower middle class black family dies in a car wreck accident or where it's a good case, I can count on one hand how many times I've heard of those families allowing a black lawyer to represent.
Thank you.
One hand.
That's right. It's true.
I've practiced law for 16 years.
Tell the truth.
Only after other lawyers turn them down do they see black attorneys. And usually it's when they've been turned down by at least 2 or 3. We don't get the 5-star cases. We get their reject cases. We have to take it, breathe life into it, and then try to make something out of almost nothing. A lot of times we're able to do that. Freedom is a choice.
All right.
Say that.
Why do HBCUs not get the 5-star recruits?
All right.
Do 5-star kids and their parents, they not think that they can go pro after these institutions? Walter Payton went pro. Greatest running back of all time. Jerry Rice went pro. Greatest wide receiver of all time.
That's right.
What if black pastors got together with the HBCUs, started a partnership, developed a pipeline
Yes.
where the best high school football and basketball players are steered towards Alabama State, Southern, Alabama A&M, Prairie, Texas Southern, FAMU, Tuskegee, Howard, North Carolina Central. What if we had a Fab Five at one of these institutions?
Yeah, right. That's right.
Use what you got to get what you need, not what you want. If you get the best players at these institutions, more kids of all races will start to enroll in these schools. Because they want to go to the school with the future pros. They want to see them while they're in college. They want to just be around just to touch the hem and they go. ESPN and CBS, Pastor, they will have to televise more HBCU games.
That's right. That's right.
Pro Scouts will have to come and attend those games. More revenue will roll into these institutions than you and I can imagine. And you can use the athletics to support the academics.
That's right.
Use what you got to get what you need.
All right. Yes, sir.
You have a choice.
We sure do.
Freedom is a choice. What message are we sending our children?
All right.
I have a friend who's an engineer. He's the only black partner at this well-known engineering firm in the state. I asked him one time, I said, why don't you go out and start your own? I was like, you are, I mean, he's really one of the, he's probably the best engineer, civil engineer I've ever known. I mean, he will not, because you know, we can't make too many mistakes. You know? We have to make sure everything is tight and in line, and you know, because we make it, you know, that's it. That's it. Right? So he's really good at it. He responded to me, he said, look, he said, I went on my own, you know, very black folks who hired me now, they wouldn't hire me. Because they be counting my money. They work out how much you make. He said, look, Chris, he said, it's okay as long as I'm with this white firm. You know, because they feel like the money going to somebody else and just trickling down to them. I just shook my head. That's tough. Now I ask you, what's wrong with that picture? Is this freedom?
Wow.
No. The goal of freedom should be freedom.
Right.
Does anyone disagree with me? Let me repeat. The goal of freedom should be freedom. If you are not free, and if we are not free, if we achieve the goal, what is freedom? We'll give you some Oxford Dictionary definitions of freedom. You know, because if I use an African dictionary, y'all might not believe me. So I'm going to use the Oxford Dictionary. Define freedom as the state of not being imprisoned or enslaved. Now, we're not subject to imprisonment for completely false crimes nowadays because, you know, we have representation now in the police department, Office of Prosecution, and we have African American judges. So you know, some people do still get falsely accused. You know, it happens, but it's rare. So you know, we're not just, you know, people just not coming out here and grabbing us off the street and, you know, like they did in those days. Or do you work, you got a job, who you work for? You going to jail. That's not happy. But there's another definition of freedom. That is the power or right to act, speak, or think as one wants without hindrance or restraint.
All right.
You may think what you want as long as you don't act on it. Right. However, you have the right to act or speak what you want without restraint. You know the answer. Freedom is a choice. As a talented, freedom-loving man, I feel restricted at times more by people who look similar to me than from others.
All right. Come on.
Why will we not allow each other to be free? Is it because many of us don't want to be free?
Speak.
Pastor Chris Miller, do.
Speak.
Talk, man.
Is it because some of us don't want to be free? And we don't, because I don't want to be free, I don't want you to be free.
Right. Come on.
Is it because some of us wouldn't know what to do with ourselves? We feel like we don't deserve it.
That's right.
All right.
That's right.
Is it because we believe the same thing that the antebellum masters are we not capable of being civilized?
Right. Come on.
That we need a paternal master to think for us?
Right.
Think about what I started off with. We started civilization.
Absolutely.
So that can't be good. Why is it? Do we just simply don't want the hassle that comes with freedom? Controlling one's own destiny. Right? Deciding a set of standards, sticking to it.
Right.
The work that comes with being in control, or as my mom would say to me growing up, you gotta pay the cost to be the boss. Right? And we just simply not want to pay the cost to be the boss. Being in charge is not easy.
Amen.
Working together with others in a group to do something truly special is even harder.
Yes, sir.
For y'all football fans, I'm rooting for Alabama in the national championship game. But y'all have to admit,
Come on.
it was a lot harder for Dabo Swinney to turn Clemson into a perennial powerhouse than it was for Nick Saban to take Alabama, which has all the tradition and all of the accolades and all of the infrastructure in place, to go back to a championship caliber team.
Right.
And see, most of us, we don't want to do the work Dabo did.
Right.
Teaching people to build a devout, winning culture
All right.
where it's absent. It's much harder than going in and rebuild a winning culture where they're used to it.
Right.
So I get it. I understand. But you know, it's in the trials, it's in the training, the development, building that allows freedom to be possible.
All right.
The great Frederick Douglass said something simple yet profound. Very simple, but it's very profound. He said, without a struggle, there can be no progress. If not for you, then what about the children? At some point, some generation is going to have to take up that mantle. Freedom is a choice. Do you choose freedom? Will we choose freedom?
All right.
If we don't have the patience, the resilience, the character to choose it for ourselves, do we at least have the vision and the courage to think beyond ourselves and do it for our children, for our descendants?
Right.
I'm ready if you are.
Yes, sir.
Join me. Let's work and realize actual freedom.
Right.
God bless Selma, Dallas County.
Right.
God bless the state of Alabama. And God bless America. And I thank you so much.
Right.
You know, often we look for high caliber speakers in California and other cities, in other states, but we have what we need sometimes right here. And I want to thank brother, and I call him brother because he is a member of an organization that I'm a part of, and I want to thank him for just sharing from his heart to us. I think most of us see him, and we see a very quiet young man. But there's a fire that's burning beneath that surface. And so let's give him